this video, I'm going to do one of your guys' favorites, and I'm just going to do a very quick, very intentional ramble on a topic that I am currently very aware about. Aware. And sit back, relax, and hopefully you learn something from it. It's going to be very factual things I'm learning, and hopefully you learn it too. A little background, it's going to be about feature film writing, because I'm taking a class at UCLA right now, for screenwriting. So I am in an extension program class. That means 10 classes, and we are going through the fundamentals of screenwriting. What is screenwriting, you may ask? Well, screenwriting is basically writing for the screen, aka movies. So I live in Los Angeles, I work here, and I do work in entertainment, in production, and TV, and film. But I want to be a writer, so I've been taking classes for that. So let me just share with you. I just got off of a class, and I'm just going to kind of talk about what I've learned, and let me know what you find interesting, and if you've learned anything. So screenwriting is going to be a little bit different than another type of form of writing versus like novels, especially. There are also even different types of screenwriting. So the one I'm focused on right now is feature films, which is, and I'm going to talk about all this. So a feature film is what you would go see like at the movie theaters, like The Avengers, or it would be something like any type of movie. Think of a movie that you absolutely adore, Everything Everywhere All at Once. For me, I love Arrival. I love, any of those movies. That is what's called a feature film. There's also so that's screenwriting. So think of screenwriting as like an umbrella. So there's feature films, then there's also shorts, which is, so you have feature film, then you have a short, which is what I made. You can see behind me, it's on the wall. You sort of can see I have a poster, which is going to be a film that's around 5 to 12 minutes. It can be up to 20. Mine was up to 20. The shorter the better. It's usually used as a way to kind of pitch a project for a feature film. It's a way to practice your filmmaking without needing a huge budget. So it's smaller scope of a short film than a feature film. A feature film is around 90 minutes long. At minimum, it will be a maximum. It can be like 3 hours. So 90 minutes is an hour and a half versus like 3 hours. That takes a lot of planning, and that's why screenwriting is very formulaic as well. Very formulaic, and I have some notes that I'm going to be talking about, because when you're writing a short film, you use a lot of those structural details that you learn in feature film writing to practice, but a lot goes into writing a film. It's a lot. The first video that we watched, so I'm doing this over Zoom, there's like a video, my teacher's showing us some videos on YouTube that describe, people's philosophies and people's screenwriters' processes, and this class is all about figuring out, if you are interested, my talk is if you're a classmate, it's us figuring out basically what our process is for screenwriting, because there's a lot of different ways to do it. Just so you know, when you write a screenplay, well, I'm going to just finish my other ramble about writing. So screenwriting, there's, and I'll get back to this, sorry. Screenwriting, so there's the feature film and there's the short film, right? And then adjacent, which is a whole other class, you have television writing. TV writing is very different from screenwriting. Feature films, and I learned this in class, TV is way more structured. You have like 5 acts or so. I might be butchering that. If you know, let me know in the comments. But when you write a script as a screenwriter for TV, you hand over that script, and it's basically God. Production is going to stick really tightly to the script. They're not going to change anything. The director really doesn't have as much of creative influence as the writer does. This is very itself because it's a creative pursuit, and since you've seen TV, you know TV can go on forever technically. So because of that, the writers are usually gonna be, and this is what I've learned from people working production, the writers are usually the king and queens of the show because they've been there the entire time. TV, they bring on directors episodically for every episode, meaning that the director will help curate the episode, but they won't have the overarching, responsibility to take care of that show, right? Because the writers are there longer than directors ever are. However, a movie is different because usually, just so you know, movies, you can have a different director, you can have a different writer, but a lot of the times they're the same. That's where you have director and writer combos, because the director is there as long as the writer is, and most of the time the director is actually going to be on set with the crew and cast where the writer might not be, and there's just a lot more freedom because you're basically creating a beginning, middle, and end versus a TV show. You're doing a beginning, middle, and you're waiting for the end of the series to happen. TV, you're always just trying to keep it moving. Movies, and that's why I love movies. You need an ending. You know when you go into a film, a movie, that there's gonna be a beginning, middle, and end, and that's what I love. I love that you capture something in an amount of time. I adore it, but it does make writing one very difficult. In one of the first videos that we watched, a gentleman was describing how writing is, in a feature film, everything needs to be connected. Every scene, every word, everything, and if it's not, it needs to be gotten rid of, because if you have loose threads in a film, that's usually, this is what the man is saying, that's usually what the audience is going to remember. They're going to remember, oh, why was that guy's hat, blue and then red, and then it was taken off at the end of the film. They're not going to focus on the main picture, the main message. That's why a lot of the films that you ever get engrossed into, the ones that really draw you in, are usually ones that don't have a lot of holes, where you're more just drawn in because you know everything is for a reason. And when you know as an audience member that everything is for a reason, you become hyper aware and you get drawn into it, right? You're looking because you're actively searching for clues. Versus if you watch a film and you know that some things don't matter, you're going to just zone out. And that's why writing a film can be very, very difficult, because, as he said, you're basically building a building, and if one thing falls apart, the whole thing can crumble. So that's why this class is very useful. In this class I'm taking, we're talking basically about structure, which is something that I personally really want to work on. I've written a short film. I'm currently working on a feature film, and I'm writing 3 pages a day for this month, which is very, very exciting and grueling process. I don't know if you've ever written. There are days where I want to write, and there are days where I don't. And I'm a huge advocate that to write on the days where you don't want to write, because you'll get things. Usually you'll get really good things when you force yourself to write. But I really want to learn about how people begin their feature films. I usually don't write with an outline, so traditional screenwriting, and this is what I'm trying to learn in this class, because I've never actually been educated on it. I've just read books, and I have an acting background. Screenwriting actually works like this. If you do it in a conventional way, you're going to follow these steps before you write your first draft. You are going to figure out what your concept is, then you're going to figure out what your premise is, and this is what I'm all learning about. I think this is it. The concept is basically the heart of the story. It's basically why this story. The premise gives you a little bit more information. So for instance, concept could be aliens invade the West Coast. That could just be the concept. So that's that's what this movie is about. That's what this movie is about. And then the premise would be aliens invade the West Coast of America after get murdered and are having kids. Well, this is a terrible premise, but it gives you more information, basically. The aliens invade the West Coast only to populate the humans and start a new species, something like that. That would be a premise, versus the concept is like aliens invade the West Coast of America, and then the premise is giving you a little bit more information. Those are things you start out with. Okay, so you're working through that. Another thing you're going to want to do before you even start writing is what's called a log line. A log line, a log line. A log line, thanks for asking, is basically a line that's a log. No, just kidding. A log line is a line. They can call it sometimes like a slug line. That may be a little bit different. I'm going to learn about that in next class. But a log line is a line that indicates basically what the story is about and the hidden messages that will be uncovered throughout the film. It's basically the hook. It's a line that you're gonna give out to producers and people that you want to invest in your film. It's usually one of the really essential things that screenwriters are gonna know. So if you ever meet a screenwriter and they're like, "Oh, I'm working on something," you can say, "Hey, give me your log line," and that's when they'll know, oh, this person knows about screenwriting, because every film, and I absolutely suck with log lines, but a log line encapsulates your film in one sentence, and I have it written down what a log line is. So the structure of a log line, and bear with me, this can change because creatives are creative, but this is the foundation. A log line is the character faces, so it's blank, which is the character, faces a conflict versus, then you introduce the antagonist, only for blank and blank to occur. You basically say that the character faces a conflict, because that's what every story is. You say versus the antagonist. We need to know who the villain is. An antagonist, so these are some terminology things too. Protagonist is the character we're going to be following. Usually, it's a character we're sympathetic towards. It's a character that you hope the audience can empathize with, that the audience can use as a vessel to then, and this is where I really want to work on my character. You want your character to be empathetic enough, and that doesn't mean, this is where it gets tricky, it doesn't mean likable. It just means that you, the audience, can understand this person to the point where they then begin to feel what the character feels, so then they go through this journey. If you miss that connection with the audience, that's why whenever you watch a film, if you feel totally disconnected, it might be because you're not connected to the protagonist. That's really important in the beginning of a film. So you're the protagonist, character that you empathize with, that's the main character. You might hate them, you might think they're a bad person, but you see their tribulations, you see their problems and everything that they struggle with, right? In order for you to understand them, and then to understand the story or the emotional arc they're gonna have, because then you will also experience it. The antagonist is the villain. It's the villain of the film. It also can get tricky because an antagonist doesn't have to be a villain. It's just someone that challenges the protagonist in the film. Someone that gives the protagonist obstacles. So that's what an antagonist is. Conflict is what, like, think about it, a story is basically two people going head to head something. The character, this is what a story is. A character wants something, but they can't get it because of blank. And then you also add, they can't get it because, it's hard to get, or it's like, because they don't have the weapons, and then you add stakes at the end. So stakes are like, this is gonna be bad. We did an example in class of Wizard of Oz, and our log line. It's really hard to do a log line, but ours was a young Kansas girl wakes up in a strange land known as Oz, only to face, only to go head to head with the Wicked Witch of the West, Kansas, wakes up. What happens? What's the conflict? She wakes up in a mysterious land where she has to go head to head with the Wicked Witch of the West. So that's the antagonist, right? In order to save her friends and get home alive. There you go. That was pretty good. I was not doing my own horn, but that was pretty good. Because that had stakes, right? In order to stay alive and protect your friends. So the character, a young girl from Kansas, and then what's the conflict? What happens? Well, she wakes up in a mysterious land. That's weird, right? To go, and has to go head to head. Okay, this is conflict, right? With the Wicked Witch of the West. I think that's who it is. That's the antagonist. Okay, so we have this really nice young, and loglines are all about dichotomy. They're all about yin and yang. So a young, innocent girl has to face this treacherous witch in this mysterious land. And why does this matter? It's because, well, she doesn't do this. She doesn't go home and she doesn't save her friends, right? So that's what it is. And usually a logline is a sentence or two, and we should tell you that, the logline, and you should be like, ooh, I want to know how this happens. My teacher was saying loglines shouldn't necessarily give things away. The goal is to just hook the reader, show like what the tension of the film is and what underlying things they can, uncover. So is it perfect? No, but loglines are very difficult to do. Another thing that we learned, which was really interesting, is so we talked about concepts, right? And or we talked about, I think so. I didn't know this. I don't know if you know about this, but when you're pitching of making a film, there's two types of stories. There's low concept, low concept, low concept, low concept, low concept. And then there's also what's known as a high concept, high concept, high concept, high concept. Think low and high. I had no idea about this, and I love how we talked about this because it explains a lot to me. A low concept film is a film that you have the concept of it, and it feels very low concept. Wow, original, right? Oops, sorry about the motorcycle. So basically what this means is that it's gonna be a log line or a concept that doesn't seem that interesting. So it'd be like, two friends go on a road trip. Like this is what my film is, but it's gonna be like two friends go on a road trip up the coast to go to a wedding. Or it could be like two high school lovers, the two high school people fall in love. Remember, concept is the first, it's not the premise, it's just like what is this about? So long concept, it's like two people fall in love. Well, that sounds really boring, right? Now this is me putting my 2 cents in. Low concept are usually indie films. Think of a film. Some of these films are really great. Like Into the Wild, or I love road trip films, that's what I'm thinking of. But it's a film that you watch and you're like, what is this about? This is so basic. And then it's all really character driven. It's very depth driven. So it's the type of movie where you watch and be like, oh, I know what this film's about. But as you watch more, tropes arrive, and I'll tell you what a trope is. But new meanings occur in the film that lend itself so that what you're seeing is actually a metaphor for something deeper. Okay, it's a metaphor for something deeper. So low concept films are films that have a very simple concept, like two friends fall in love, or two romantic people fall in love, or someone goes to find their mom. Very simplistic, but the depth of the film doesn't come from the concept or what's happening. It actually comes from how it's happening or the tropes that are involved in the story to bring depth to it. Brings meaning to the simplicity of the film. Isn't that so cool? So that's low concept, and then high concept is a film that's like aliens attack, like Jurassic Park, Jurassic World is high concept. It's like robots take over the world and they destroy everything only to impregnate the special chosen one. High concept could be, it's like that computer hacker realizes that the world is taken over by mutants and decides to fight against them. High concept is very like, whoa, like you hear the logline and you're like, whoa, that's specific, that's unique. High concept, as my teacher was saying, it usually takes a lot of money to make. Think of anything that's really sci-fi heavy, anything like that, that's gonna be high concept. High concept is really good for selling scripts because it's really specific. It's very easy for readers and buyers, which are, remember, entertainment is a business. It's buyers, like studios, they're businessmen or women. They aren't creatives always. So when you have high concept, you're like, oh, that sounds cool. It's easier to grasp versus low concept films. They don't sound exciting, but they can be really, really deep and emotional. So low concept films are usually easier to make because they're low budget, because, for instance, the film I want to do, it would be like a road trip of two, it's a buddy-buddy drama. I'm going to talk about genres in a sec, but drama, maybe comedy, adventure, of these two people going up the coast to a wedding. That's easy to film. Easier. It's not, nothing's easy to film. But it's low concept. Versus high concept would be like an alien and a woman get married and they go up the coast of the USA to stop the Godzilla that's roaming the cities, only to discover that Indiana Jones unlocked the case with the nuclear bomb and is going to explode the world. Like, it's something high concept is like, what the F? I don't know, that's at least my take on it. Let me know if you do anything else, but it's really cool because learning that, I was like, oh, my film that right now falls into low concept, and that's actually very nice because the more you learn about genre and concept, I think you can give yourself perimeters to write, which is very helpful. If you're creative, you will know exactly what I mean when I say this. Creatives need structure. We need structure. I do my best creating when I have boundaries, when I have time limits, when I have structure, which doesn't sound like that would be correct, but creativity thrives off of bouncing off walls and feeling limited. It just helps if you don't have a jar to keep your creativity and bounce around. It's just gonna seep and you're gonna create on forever, which is amazing. But structure is really important. So it's really cool. I learned that. Another thing I want to talk to you about is tropes, and this is something that I kind of learned. A trope is basically a symbol or a metaphor of something that you see in a film that means something that it isn't. So think of, like, if you see a necklace and then, the film puts meaning on it, that is a trope. So that, an example is, for instance, if I'm like holding a candle and I give it to, if I'm in a film and I'm holding a candle and I give it to my lover and I say, or my lover gives it to me and we're breaking up and he's like, this candle is everything, take it to remember me by, right? And then he passes away, and then next scene I wake up and I'm holding the same candle, right? Well, that candle is no longer a candle, it is now a symbol. It's a trope. It means something different, and now means him, right? His essence is now in the candle. That is what a trope is. Putting another layer onto something that's in an object. And tropes can be on people too. So something I learned as well is that an archetype, tropes come from archetypes. An archetype is the original, and it might be totally wrong, but this is what my teacher said, I think, is the original symbol of a trope. So an archetype, we usually think of archetypes as characters, or an archetype, and there can be movie archetypes and different types, but an archetype is like damsel in distress. It could be, the sidekick. It could be, the dumb blonde. These archetypes are tropes, right? Things that we've placed on these characters, right? So think for the dumb blonde, maybe how that ever started, I don't know. If you know, let me know in the comments. But it's basically, one day we saw a blonde woman on screen, maybe combing her hair, looking very blonde, and then she does something dumb. And we laugh because there's this dichotomy, right? She's beautiful, oh, but she's ditzy. And since we've seen that in one movie, tropes can carry over to different films. So if you see that a lot in one film, when you see another film and you just see a blonde, you're immediately going to think, oh, it must be a dumb blonde. Writers have to, it's called subverting audience expectations. So a really good film is going to subvert archetypes and tropes. This is why doing research and being very aware of other movies is very essential as a screenwriter, because you, just like me, you're a storyteller, whether you like to admit it or not. You tell stories every day to your friends and family. The ways we tell stories is taught to us by the stories we watch. Okay, the stories we tell are taught to us by the stories we watch. So when you watch a movie, or you watch TV, or you watch that really dumb reality show that you love, and I love too, trust me, I know, it's teaching us how to convey stories with each other. Now, that's beautiful, right? But the thing is if you're not aware of it, you're gonna fall into the traps and into the cadence that they have set up, which works, right? There's a reason that certain stories are told the way they are, because they work. They meet our expectations, right? But if you watch a film and you write a film that, just goes off the hunches of other films, it's gonna be predictable. And you know what we're talking about, because you felt that, you've watched a movie, you've been gripped in, right? Because you know everything's there for a reason. Another aspect of that is because you can't understand, you can't expect what's going to happen, right? There's nuance, there's twists, you don't know what's happening, so you have to pay attention. That's what really good storytelling is like, and to get that, writers have to be aware of archetypes, be aware of tropes that are in other films of their genre, and I'll talk about genre in a sec, in order to subvert, to flip the expectation, to keep the audience engaged, while also making sure that everything is relevant to the story. It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's very fun. Yeah. But let's talk about genre. So when you have a film, there's a whole wheel of genres. And genre is basically the structure that your film is going to show up as. There are different genres that basically lend themselves to different stories. So the reason why a genre is important is because you, the audience, is going to go into a movie expecting something. And you might be like, Nick, no, sometimes I go in not expecting things, and I'm like, nah, you actually are. Remember, when you go to a movie theater, look at the trailers that you look at, before. They're usually going to indicate what the genre of the film is. And if you didn't know that, and I learned this at NYU a long time ago, the trailers before every movie is different based on the movie you're seeing. So if you're watching a thriller, they're going to show thriller trailers. They do that because it's the same genre. When you go into a thriller, you're expected to be gripped. You're expected maybe to be sweating. Or let's talk about maybe a horror film. You're expected at one point to be scared. You're expected to hopefully scream. You're not expected to really laugh. I mean, you could. We're not expected to cry. You don't go and see those films for that, right? Just like if you go into a rom-com, you're not expecting to, be scared. So genre is really important because it indicates to the audience what it's going to be about, but it also, this is what's really fun, right? We're talking about tropes and archetypes. For every genre, there are different archetypes and tropes. That's how long film and storytelling has been out. So for every genre, there's different archetypes and tropes. It's so important that you cater. So you're going to cater to the audience. So I'm like, hey, my road trip is going to be a drama, comedy. Okay, so if we have those, then I'm going to need to look at drama comedies to, I'm going to want to make sure that you feel the things I want you to feel. If it's a drama comedy, you're going to go and be like, I want to maybe cry and laugh, can get really emotional, but I also want to have some comedy. Okay, let's look at how other films do that. And you're gonna look and you're gonna see, oh, this film makes people laugh by doing this, this, this. I love that, right? But you can't just copy. I mean, maybe you could, but you're not gonna want to. You're gonna want to subvert. But some tropes work, and learning that is why. And also, like I said, we know how to storytell, so we have initial beats, right? You have impulses, and so just being aware of those impulses and then learning how to keep it fresh is something that's very fun and hard. But this is all very early games. Oops, sorry. This is all very early games with writing, basically. So we're basically just talking all about that. There is also something all about writing process, which is so cool. I watched a video about this woman that writes 15 pages a day, which is a lot. I write 3. It's a lot to do, and she talked about basically how it's important for creatives, especially writers, to move on, to not rewrite as you write. I think I've talked about this in other videos, but a very useful key of thing that I do for writing, because I'm not like amazing or anything. I just really enjoy this, and I feel like I have stories I need to share. Things, it's more like therapeutic, but if you're a creative, there are things where you feel like the world needs to see, and I have something in me that needs to be seen. If you actually want to see it one day, make sure you click the bio down below, and you click the link that says follow my art. You can put your email in it, and I'm only gonna email y'all when I have a new project coming along and everything. So if you want to stay in tune and really like see the film I'm gonna do that. But the process is, yeah, you just get so into it, and I've been learning that it's just so important to keep moving along. You're gonna want to keep writing and just generating pages, and there's 2 different parts in your mind when you write. You have the analyzing mind, right, which is the one where you are like, okay, well, this doesn't make sense. Like, why would I use this word and not this one, right? You shut that off when you write. So you're going to want to do your writing, and you're just going to want to put words onto a page, and then you're not going to analyze it. And that's a very hard thing to do, but you can't analyze what you write. It's almost like walking. You're going to think, and you're going to put it on page. However, the thing that I'm trying to learn on this class is structure in pre-writing. So I kind of said we had a concept, premise, logline. Then what you do is you do an outline, an outline, an outline, an outline, which is basically setting the scenes and the beats of everything. And then you're going to do what's called oh my gosh, what is it called? Oh no. You're going to do what's called I'm blanking on the name, but basically you write everything out in prose, a treatment. You're going to do a treatment of your outline. So you're going to write all the beats, and then you're supposed to, for the scenes, like write in prose, so write in novel way what the scenes are about. You do this so that you get the sense of the beats of everything without having to write dialogue, description, and it's supposed to help like make it easier to move things around. I currently don't write like that. I currently do this thing where I write like 3 pages a day, and then I just like word vomit, and then I word vomit for a month until I hit 90 pages, then I take a month off, and then I do it again, and I'm just kind of seeing what beats are sticking with me for the film. It's really fun to do, but I definitely want to work on my pre-writing process, and so that's why I'm taking this class, and that's why it's been good. It's a treat for me. I was like, I want to do something fun, and that's how I treated myself to this class. And yeah, let me know if you found this interesting, and if you want to know more about the class. I can always do more of these videos about what I'm learning for screenwriting. But that's everything so far. Log lines and all of that, and the homework. Get this, we're gonna have to watch. It's a lot of homework. Oh my god, I have to write like a log line, and then I have to. I'm getting a book, which I have to start reading. I think I have to watch 2 movies and then read a script for one of the movies, which is gonna be so fun because I have always wanted to do this, where I watch movies and then read the script and like get more familiar with all of that. I think that's the best way to learn. However, I do know it's gonna be a lot of work and I'm gonna be very tired, and there will be days where I don't want to do it, but I'm very excited. So that's everything that I've been kind of learning in the class so far. Let me know what questions you have. Like, did any of this fascinate you? Do you agree, disagree with any of this? Let me just tell you some genres too, because there are a lot of them and I never really learned them. You have action, you have comedy, you have drama, you have adventure, you have sports, you have what other ones? Thriller, horror. You also have other films like experimental. And the thing with genres is you compare them. So you could do like another genre I say is a buddy movie. It's basically 2 friends going on a trip. You could do a buddy comedy, or you could do a buddy drama, or you could do a drama buddy. So the first genre is going to be the more precedented one, the one that shows up more, and then the second genre that's attached is going to be the one that comes after a little bit more. It's fun to think about. So yeah. Also, if you have a favorite movie, throw it down in the comments. But if you made it this far and you like this video, please give this video a like. Please comment like your favorite movie or an emoji. I would love to see the movie emoji. Like, think of like a clacker. You know, like the clacker, they go clack clack. If you want to put that down in the comments, I'll give you extra love, and because I'll know you made it to the end, and I love it when you make it to the end. Subscribe if you haven't. Encourage me to make more of these videos if you enjoy it, and join our membership program. Click the first link in the bio down below to support this channel. It is the best thing you can do for this channel. It means the world to me. All your donations go directly back to this channel. It's how I got this camera. It's how I got this mic, and I'm just utterly grateful for you guys. So thank you for being here, and I hope to see you in my next video. Treat yourself very well, my friend. Have a wonderful day and stay positive. That's all I gotta say. Okay, I'll see you later.